Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. So today we're going to be doing the Sagittarius 2025 horoscope, and I will say that if you're a Sagittarius rising, this is going to be a lot more accurate than Sun or Moon, but you can watch for Sun and Moon for added context. That's completely fine. I just want to put the disclaimer that it may not be as accurate as you would like because it's for rising. So I'm going to focus on the key themes of the year and then break it down month by month. And I don't want to waffle too much to begin with, but I will say that Sagittarius rising, you're probably going to be one of the luckiest signs. Not the luckiest, that's Gemini, but you're definitely one of the luckiest signs. Generally, all mutable signs are pretty lucky this year. You're going to have a very deep transformation in your life, and if you felt like maybe you've been going through it recently, then it's quite a nice solace to know that things are going to be quite nice. And it also will say that you probably have one of the best chances with relationships as well, which is also really exciting. I'm a Sagittarius stallion, so I find that really exciting. So I'm going to talk about the key themes and then we'll go month by month. So the key themes for you Sagittarius are focusing on transformations in the home and family. That can be building a family or expanding a family. It could also be, moving house, moving apartment, moving location, or having a kind of development where you think, maybe where I am is not where I want to be. You also have a really good chance for marriage and commitment in dating because Jupiter will be in Gemini for the first half of the year, and Sagittarius, that's your sister sign, so it becomes your 7th house of commitment. So great luck when it comes to getting a committed relationship or, really getting some kind of security from a relationship. It can also be for business partners and contracts as well if you're not interested in love. Then we have a focus on intimate relationships and dating, and then also a focus on investing as well. So generally it's quite an interesting year. So let's go month by month. So January 2025, Mars will be retrograding in Leo from the 6th of December 2024, which is already happening now, to the 6th of January 2025. So it's not for too long. Mars is the planet of war and aggression and sex drive, and is very sort of, kind of energy, and Leo is the sun. It's masculine, it's powerful and very ambitious and optimistic. So together this creates a very David Goggins I will not quit mentality, and can yield a lot of frustration, anger too. But if we use this transit positively, we can use that for passion. So this would be in house number 9, which is Sagittarius. So this would be the house of study, travel and spirituality. It's generally a very philosophical house. So you could have frustrations around matters of study and travel, or your own kind of spiritual focus and wellness routine. And so you specifically need to channel the passion of Leo and Mars into something a bit more positive. So if you desire a change with your studies, for example, or a career change, then use that passion for direction. Then we have Venus in Pisces in your 4th house of home and family. So on the 2nd of January, Venus will leave Aquarius and enter Pisces, which is a much more dreamy and delusional and compassionate love sign. And generally Venus in Pisces is really quite nice because it's very sort of head in the clouds manifestation, and you could find a lot more harmony with your home and family during this time. Then Mars will retrograde in Cancer on the 8th house for you from the 6th of January 25 to the 23rd of February. Mars in Cancer is not its best place to be because Mars is very angsty and aggressive, and Cancer is very sensitive. So that's very sort of like screaming and crying at the same time. So this, for the 8th house, will highlight some frustrations with investing for the future, maybe with pensions or having savings. And also you could cause issues with how you feel you can trust people, especially in your family, like a matriarch figure. Could cause you to act out, so it's a good time to have some impulse control. Then the nodes will change to Pisces and Virgo from Aries and Libra. So your North and South node have been in Aries and Libra, and they'll now move to Pisces and Virgo, which means you restore harmony, Sagittarius, and balance to your career, but also your home and family. So your purpose may become clearer. So your North node is in Pisces now in your 4th house of home and family. So your purpose for the next year and a half or so is really to focus on, that transformation in, where you're living, your family, maybe building a family, or expanding a family, or trying to overcome trauma within a family so you become much more of a unit. So your kind of focus for the year, as I've mentioned before, is really that focus on getting security and stability, really. Then Uranus will be direct in Taurus on the 30th of January, and Uranus will go direct in your Taurus 6th house. So you could expect some unexpected shakeups, as it were, with physical health. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. It's just kind of like, oh, this is something I didn't expect. But it can also cause you to be a little bit more sort of spontaneous with the way that you are treating your physical routine, and to step out the box with your routines. So if you experience any issues from May to September 2024 last year, then these may repeat now, or the lessons that you learned will come back. February 2025, so Venus enters Aries in your 5th house of dating and creativity, which is a beautiful house for it to be in on the 2nd of February, because Venus is love and harmony, and the 5th house is dating and creativity, and also children too. Venus is debilitated in Aries because, you know, it's like men are from Mars, women are from Venus kind of energy, but it's still a good energy for passion, because Aries is actually known as the sort of sensual sign. So to have that in the sensual house with a sensual, it's really nice. It's a good lovey-dovey energy to start the year off, really. So this is also creative expression as well, if you're not interested in love. So this could be with hobbies, or being able to express yourself a little bit more sort of like spiritually, you know, the idea of like when you feel trapped and you're like, oh, I can't dance in a room on my own, I feel like people are watching me. It's like that energy of you expressing yourself and feeling more open to doing so. So it's a fun energy, good for working on getting noticed, and it's good if you want to start dating around this time. And then Jupiter will be direct in Gemini 7th house, 2nd of February. So again, this process of love is really coming to us in February. So this is expansive opportunities, and this is very active as well. This is not I'm thinking about love, this is I'm going for it. This is genuine, tangible look. In creating or sustaining a strong commitment with somebody. So this could be quite serious energy, you know, this for some of you that are in a relationship and you're wanting to get engaged or want to progress to next level, like moving in with somebody, this could really start to, progress with that. For those who are not in a relationship but want to be, again, this is good luck for actively looking for a relationship. I always say astrology is a great influence. So some people think, well, I don't want to be in a relationship. What? It's like, well, you're not going to be then. It doesn't just make you do things. Like, it's an influence, and you use it as a tool for the things you want. So if you want to be in a relationship, use the look of Jupiter, use the expansion of Jupiter to find that, and then it will help you and push you along. So that's how astrology works. It's not just you have no free will. Just want to put that out there. If you're not interested in love but you still want to use this house, then you can use this for business contracts, or signing a contract with someone. Again, that could be something like signing a contract with a landlord for a new apartment, signing a contract for a job, doing something where you're able to lock in a commitment with somebody, okay? That can obviously be a commitment with yourself as well. But generally a great energy for starting something new with luck, reinventing a routine, and generally having good energy with relationships. It's kind of marriage energy, really, the 7th house with that beautiful energy. And also because Gemini is your sister sign, Sagittarius, kind of gives you a little bit of help there. Then Mars goes direct in Cancer in your 8th house. So this is the house of investments and intimate relationships. So you will be kind of evaluating your frustrations with this and revealing trauma and kind of going head on with it. Again, this is very kind of crashing out energy. So be very careful with how sensitive you get during this time. It's okay to be angry and to be upset, but don't do something that you regret. For example, with the 8th house where you are sharing things where you become so overly irritated by that, it can be quite difficult. I feel like the 7th house and the 8th house are always a bit weird with Sagittarius. I can speak as a Sagittarius stellium, Sun, Jupiter, Mercury, everything. That commitment is really hard for us. I find commitment just death now. It's so hard. It's like we're just avoiding. It's not everybody, it's a stereotype, but a lot of Sagittarius I meet, we're like, nope. So this can be quite difficult for us because we're like, the commitment is really difficult. The sharing, the openness is difficult. March 2025, Venus will be retrograding in Aries in that 5th house on the 1st of March. So this can bring out some existing issues in your relationships, and you can get really annoyed by other people. And because this is Aries, it can be very angry. So with the 5th house, focus on forgiving yourself and how you trust others, especially dating new people, or how much you maybe have repressed yourself as well. You're feeling very suppressed in your body. You may focus on your dream appearance right now, because when Venus retrogrades, we often think about aesthetics, but we think about it, we don't necessarily do anything. So you could be doing a mood board and thinking about how you want to change your appearance. As I said, Venus is debilitated in Aries, so you might need to be a little bit more flexible emotionally here. And when Mercury goes into Aries 2 days later on the 3rd of March, it gives a bit of energy. Might need a bit of ice water on the situation. So again, it could be a little bit of passionate energy, but a little bit angsty too. Then the Virgo lunar eclipse on the 10th house will happen on the 14th of March. This is a very strong, disciplined energy of the Virgo. This can be a time to finish some important projects. It's also a good time to release any stagnant energy around your career with that 10th house. So you could even move to a new job with this eclipse energy, or find that something in your job just doesn't serve you. Then we have Mercury retrograde in Aries in the 5th house on the 15th of March. Oh my god, my voice went. So Mercury retrograde brings communication issues, technology issues, delays, things coming back from the past and the like. So with Venus also retrograding in Aries, this can be a very challenging period with a lot of angst and aggression. So it's good to focus on some zen calmness. In the 5th house, you could have some communication issues with someone you're dating. Could be like there's a ghosting kind of issue. Or it could be that you are not able to get that creative inspiration that you need for a hobby, for example. Then Venus retrogrades in Pisces in the 4th house on the 27th of March. So there's some old energy with relationships here. Friendships and exes could cause you to feel very tired, and some subconscious trauma could emerge. So focus on the love that you really want here with that Venus and Pisces energy, that kind of delusional energy, to manifest some attention. Because in the Venus retrograde, we're thinking about the love, we're not necessarily doing anything about it. So think about the love that you want. Maybe revisit mood board a little bit. And then Mercury retrograde will actually enter Pisces in the 4th house of home and family on the 29th of March. So alongside Venus and Pisces, which is highly spiritual and karmic and very intuitive, be open to lessons that this brings, and there may be some issues communicating with your family members. You could have some issues closing in on a contract with a home or something of the like. But again, this is a Pisces energy, so it could be also something that you're not seeing correctly, and then there's a miscommunication because you're like, oh, I didn't see it that way, I was kind of in my own head. Then Neptune enters Aries in the 5th house on the 30th of March. So Neptune is a planet of clarity and spirituality, and Aries is kind of the driving force of that spirituality. But also I don't see Aries as the most spiritual sign. It's quite logical because it tends to be a leader, and it's often like kind of a businessman type of thing. I always think Aries and Capricorn go really well together, in my opinion. So with Neptune, I don't know if this is the best energy. It may cause a bit of difficulty in seeing the truth, because even though Neptune will have the clarity, it's kind of like having a fog on a mirror and trying to punch the mirror because you can't really see it properly. So it becomes a little bit more frustrating than anything. And Neptune also signals the spread of something, and if you combine this with Aries and also Saturn in Aries, for the world generally, this is kind of a little bit of a issue when it comes to war, especially with the current geopolitical climate. This is not necessarily anything to do with you, Sagittarius. I'm just putting it out there as an astrologer. It looks a little bit dicey. It's probably not the worst thing in the world. I've seen worse astrology, but it, could get a little bit dicey. Then we have an Aries solar eclipse on the 29th of March in your 5th house again. So the Aries solar eclipse will trigger energy that you need to take action with issues arising now, so some passions and some challenges. You may wish to release some powerful stagnant energy. For some of you, it might be a bit of a grief around, something that you've been suppressing. I guess because that 5th house is about expressing yourself as well. So if there's something you've been keeping in trauma-wise, it's a really good time to express it. And because solar eclipses are really not necessarily about letting things go, but starting new things and reframing things, I think this is not you letting something go, like with the lunar eclipse, for example. And because of the retrogrades as well, this is more you reframing something around the 5th house with dating, creativity, a new project. So you could feel very linked to starting a new project here or meeting a new person. In April 2025, Mercury will go direct in Pisces in the 4th house on the 7th of April. So communication is much easier now, and you can communicate your feelings with ease, especially in that 4th house of home and family. So you could continue some home renovations, for example, beautifying your space a little bit. You could help building up connections in family, or again, get back on track with maybe starting a family too. Then Venus will be direct in Pisces in the 4th house on the 12th of April. So you may experience some better manifestations with love here, feel a bit more open to dreaming and hoping around love. You'll also feel less burdened by having to keep up appearances and spread your wings, and you'll feel generally quite lighter as well. Again, Venus in Pisces in the 4th house of home and family. Beautiful energy for starting a family, expanding a family, and just feeling just really good about your home and family situation, really. Then we have the return that I put, which is a little bit sort of horrified, but Mars is back in Leo in the 9th house on the 18th of April. So think back to some issues that you had in November, December 2024. If you're watching this now before the new year, which I assume you are, what issues are you having now? How are you dealing with them? What are they? So you can type these loose ends and feel a bit more energy with the ninth house of study or travel opportunities, but you have to be careful about frustration and heightened emotions because that Mars and Leo energy together is bringing angst again. Then Venus is back in Aries in the 5th house where it's debilitated, and this is on the 30th of April. So you can bring any unfinished business from March back and deal with it head on. You can be a bit more enthusiastic with love and energetic, but you could also be a bit more impulsive. So this is really one to balance again. But because you've had this energy before, it's not new to you. But you might be like, why am I feeling like this again? And it's like, this is returned. May 2025, Pluto retrograding in Aquarius in your 3rd house on the 4th of May. So when Pluto went into Aquarius in November 2024, you may have experienced some intense transformations around the way you communicate with people. You could find yourself being a little bit more reserved now, or being careful about the people that you're oversharing things with. You could also be taking charge with kind of doing more things with social media, or really conquering a writing project or a thesis. So for example, I'm a Sagittarius and I'm being a little bit more reserved with who I speak to, and I'm also doing a thesis and some academic journal articles, so I'm kind of focusing on that. It's also productivity as well, so being a bit more disciplined as well. But because it's now retrograding, these slow down a bit and you think a bit more on these internally. So you won't necessarily be doing anything external, and seeing those transformations in the outer world, you'll be thinking on them a little bit more. Saturn will enter Aries in the 5th house on the 24th of May. This is the one that I mentioned is a little bit dicey. So Saturn is the planet of restriction and lessons, and Aries is war. So this can be a bit of a taunting energy. It's kind of like world leaders taunting each other, and they really feel like they're being restricted, and so they kind of like lashing out a little bit. So for the world, this could be a little bit dicey. Saturn in your 5th house can show boundaries and growth over dating and creative expression. So you could be saying, look, I'm going to spend less time at work and more time on my hobbies and things that I actually enjoy. And you could also be saying, I'm going to set my boundaries around who I date and have a bit more of a checklist and be a little bit more rigid with what I want, because the things I've been getting lately are strays. So you could be a bit more, a little bit more restrictive with that. Aries is very forward moving, and Saturn is kind of the rope around your neck, so you could feel a little bit less free here. And in that 5th house where it wants to be expressive, it can be quite difficult for you. So just be careful about trying to find the freedom as much as possible, and you know, rejigging your life around so it works for you. Again, as a Sag, we need the freedom. June 2025 is a really nice year. So Jupiter enters Cancer in your 8th house on the 9th of June. Beautiful energy. Mercury enters Cancer the day before, which is great for communication and is very expansive for the 8th house of investments, and also deepening a bond with someone that you either are going to meet or someone that you already have, especially with that 7th house and when Jupiter is in Gemini. So again, that's what I'm saying about there is a real sense of a relationship here, Sagittarius, or someone that you have a deep bond with. And that Jupiter influences Sagittarius because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. It's always on your side and is really nice. So you could also meet some new foreign contacts with here in the 8th house as well. You could find a little bit more of an asset abroad. You know, you're thinking about maybe expanding your worldview in that way. So this is a really nice energy. And I also just want to note, because a lot of astrologers leave this out, and it's not because they don't want to include it, it's just because it's confusing. Jupiter expands everything that's near it. So check your personal chart to see what is next to Jupiter, because although it's expanding and giving look to the 8th house there, it's also expanding what's near it as well. So you could have like Chiron in the next segment, for example, and you're like, oh, this is great, but also I'm getting a bit traumatized by this. You need to check what's there. Then Mars will enter Virgo in your 10th house of career again on the 17th of June. Fabulous energy for productivity with career, especially with that Virgo energy. Great time to use any frustrations that Mars brings into being productive. I would avoid getting angry or having any kind of like outbursts around your career as well, because it could backfire, especially because Virgo is so meticulous as well. Then July 2025, we have Neptune retrograding in Aries in the 5th house on the 4th of July. So Neptune retrograde brings that foggy energy, and in Aries this can be like fighting against the wind. You know, that metaphor that I used about punching a very foggy mirror. It's kind of like, oh, can't see anything. So try to stay tapped into your intuition here. And in that 5th house of expression, focus on the path that you're on with being creative and knowing exactly what brings you fun. Uranus then enters Gemini in your 7th house on the 7th of July. Uranus is settled in Gemini because it's the communication house and it's the higher octave of Mercury, so it actually is not as bad as it could be with other planets, for example. So this will bring out of the box ideas, very innovative with your committed relationships and business partnerships. Open your mind to new ways of thinking and new stories around who you are too. So again, there's that real focus of innovation with the 7th house here, and a real focus on committed relationships. Then we have retrogrades again. So Saturn retrogrades in Aries on the 5th house on the 13th of July. So this restricts our options even more. And again, in that 5th house of expression is a little bit difficult. So it can make you feel very trapped with perhaps a toxic dating life or not expressing yourself enough. So we can use that Aries energy to tap into some creativity and remind ourselves that there are several options out there. With this Saturn retrograde, we're thinking about the constriction. So we are evaluating what can make us a bit more free. So we're looking at the options that kind of like will help us. So it's like, yeah, I think I only have one option, but you have loads. Then Mercury retrogrades in Leo in the 9th house on the 18th of July. Great time for second chances with someone you've fallen out of contact with. And exes can really come back during this time. So be careful with delays in travel as well, that 9th house, or any kind of issues where you might submit an essay, for example, and it's late. So just be careful to dot your I's and cross your T's with things like that. Then August 2025, Mars enters Libra in your 11th house on the 6th of August. So Mars and Libra are complete opposites. Again, it's that men are from Mars, women are from Venus energy. So this is about understanding others to the fullest. And in your 11th house of social community and friendships, this is quite potent. So great energy and drive for friendships with that Mars energy with the passion. But you could have some arguments with your friends, so be careful about not getting too frustrated here. Don't think it's going to be too bad, really, but because Mars and Libra are opposites, it could be that you just really have a real clash of opinions, basically. Then Mercury goes direct in Leo in the 9th house on the 11th of August. So Mercury direct can help you channel your motivation around your goals. It's great for getting back on track with communicating, for example. So use this energy alongside Mars and Libra to manifest better study and travel opportunities or get in touch with your spiritual side. Venus will enter Leo in the 9th house and the 25th too. So this will enhance the harmony around these topics as well. September 2025, so Saturn will enter Pisces in the 4th house on the 1st of September. So Saturn will now stay in Pisces for the rest of the year. So any Saturn in Pisces kids like myself can revisit any lessons for the last 2 to 3 years. I am not happy for Saturn to be back in Pisces, but I'm also happy for it not to be in Aries, so I will take that win. Sagittarius, use this to focus on the constrictions that affect your dating, home and family life, such as location, for example, or anything to do with kind of like maybe what your family think of you, for example. This is a bit more relative wise, I think. Then Uranus will retrograde in that Gemini 7th house on the 6th of September. So this can slow down any of those new ideas, innovations, or ideas around your relationships. You may have a bit of a shock or change that you don't want. It's not necessarily a bad thing, just something you're not expecting. Or you could start to feel a bit more in a rut and you need a bit of reinvigoration in that relationship or partnership or contract. Eclipses, we have some important eclipses coming up. I will do much more videos about this and explain these in detail, but I will just go over the headlines for this so far. So we have a Pisces lunar eclipse on the 4th house and the 7th of September, which is a very ending and releasing energy, a great time to let go with capital letters of issues surrounding home and family, and this could feel very cathartic for you. Then we have a Virgo solar eclipse in your 10th house of career on the 21st of September. So this is more of a starting new energy. So you can start a new project and focus on new plans and goals with career, especially as we start to get closer to 2026. Then October 2025, Pluto will be direct in Aquarius in the 3rd house on the 13th of October. So Sagittarius, you can now focus on some major transformations with communicating, social media, writing and productivity. And you can finally move forward. So you can really start to see those tangible changes and transformations in your life. Then Neptune will enter Pisces in your 4th house on the 22nd of October. So Neptune returns to Pisces, which is great because spiritual meets spiritual. So it's all good. So you can revisit some issues with home and family and focus on the clarity surrounding that. It's a great time for meditation and tapping into your spiritual side even more. And again, really thinking about how you want to expand your family. November 2025, Uranus enters Taurus in your 6th house this time on the 7th of November. So this is innovation and shake-up from the Uranus energy with the physical health and co-workers of the 6th house. So any changes to your security with how you experience joy, which have been in effect recently, can be worked on. But you really might notice some more innovations when it comes to your wellness routine. You might be trying something new, for example. I'm thinking about trying some like new red light therapy things. I'm like, this might be a bit of an innovation, like there's a new one that just came on the market. Like, what I'll be like, or kind of like having new plans and new ideas with co-workers that change the status quo a little bit. Then we have a Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, your sign, on the 1st house on the 9th of November. So you might feel like you can't communicate with somebody, open up to somebody, and you kind of want to run for the hills because it's Sagittarius, of course. Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is not as nasty as other ones can be when it comes to delays in communication, but Mercury and Sagittarius don't go well together. I think they're debilitated, really, because Mercury goes well with Gemini and Virgo. If you have a Mercury in Sagittarius, like I do, for example, it can be very difficult to get your words out and to articulate. And if you saw how many takes and cuts I have to do these videos, you'd be like, what? I'm getting better at it because I'm practicing and doing this as, you know, a bit more of a thing now. But generally, I'm always like, my mind moves too quick for my words. So it's never really a great time, never a great place for it to be. You see, I'm tripping up already. So during this time, exes could revisit. That can make you feel a bit trapped because you're like, who are you? Could be also someone that you dated throughout the year with that 5th house energy, and you're like, I don't really remember who you are, but okay. And because of the Mercury retrograde and it's your house, I wouldn't make any drastic changes to your appearance either. Then we have retrogrades version 400 because we have a lot of retrogrades this year, and I think the longest one we have is like 4 months or something like that. There's a lot of retrogrades. A lot of evaluation in 2025, which can be either a good or a bad thing depending on what kind of person we are. So we have a Jupiter retrograde in Cancer in the 8th house on the 11th of November. So this Jupiter retrograde will have us evaluating any projects and dreams from this year, specifically around investing, but we'll also be able to look at our dreams and what we feel destined for. So I think we're really thinking about how we're saving money going into 2026. And I see this more about who we're letting have access to us as well. Then we have a Mercury retrograde in Scorpio in your 12th house on the 18th of November. This could be very passionate with that Scorpio energy. Exes really could return with full force here. And you could have issues around communicating mental health issues in that 12th house. So be a little bit careful about choosing the right people to talk about your innermost feelings with, because some people may not pick up what you're putting down. And because, you know, Mercury retrograde brings that communication issues. So it could be a little bit like, oh, maybe I overshared a little bit here. Then we have some directs. So Saturn will actually turn direct in Pisces in the 4th house on the 27th of November. This can give us a tiny bit more clarity and freedom. You could feel less trapped with your home, location-wise, and with family as well. So this could actually help you tangibly set those boundaries now as well, because you're not thinking about it, you're actually going out and doing it. Then Mercury will be direct in Scorpio in the 12th house on the 29th of November. So the last Mercury retrograde of the year, so we can move forward, and for you Sagittarius, you can make good decisions with your mental health again. So this is quite good for really getting back on track with your future and having plans and goals that make you feel energized. So then we come to the last month of the year, December. So Mars will be retrograding in Leo in the 9th house on the 6th of December. You'll notice that 2024 had the same energy, and then we actually end the year with the same energy. This doesn't mean that nothing's been changed. It definitely has. It's just because that energy is coming back. So this will bring the irritation and anger of the Mars and Leo energy with studies and travel. But again, try to focus on communicating your needs in a calm way. Use that anger instead and channel it into passion and productivity. Then Neptune will be direct in Pisces, again in that 4th house. Is a great house to end the year on. So Neptune direct will bring that clarity in the 4th house of home and family, and your goals with where you are in your house and your home and your family become much more clearer now, and you're able to kind of have more goals for 2026. So Sagittarius, generally I love this year for you. It's actually pretty lucky and quite nice. You're focusing on transformations with the home and family. The biggest kind of excitement really is that you have a lot of energy in the 5th house and the 7th house of dating and committed relationships. So if you are looking for an advancement in your relationship, or you're looking to date someone new and have a nice relationship, then this is great energy for that. It's a good chance for marriage as well, or dating somebody that then turns into a really long-term thing. And because of that focus on home and family, you could definitely be moving in with somebody as well. And it just moves really quickly, and you're like, I know it was them, like it moves really quickly. And because of that 8th house as well, of the intimate relationships and investing and shared finances, there's an element of sharing and bonding with somebody and really sharing your innermost thoughts with them. So this is a beautiful energy for love. Sagittarius, you're actually one of my top luckiest signs for love. A lot of people are giving it to Virgo and Pisces for good reason, but I generally think if we look at it from a whole point of view, Sagittarius is the number one. So if you are really excited and energized by the fact getting a relationship this year, then this should give you a bit of pep in your step. And again, use that influence. If you're not interested in love, look at the houses and see what areas it's highlighting for you as outside of love, and use that influence for yourself as well. Astrology is never going to give you something you don't want. in that way. I mean, sometimes we get the anger and frustration and whatnot, and yeah, the stars do influence with things, but we generally we use it as a tool and a resource, and we use its power. It's kind of like having a little bit of a battery boost, really, to what you want. So, Sagittarius, I hope you enjoyed that video, and I really hope that you have a lovely 2025. I'm a Sagittarius, I'm sending all my love to you as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you around. Bye.